He disappeared without a trace after over a decade of terrorizing families across California, until one phone call changed everything. A man who slipped through windows, whispered threats in the dark, and vanished without a trace. For 40 years, his name was a mystery. This is the story of how justice caught up to the man known as the Golden State Killer. It began in 1974. A string of break-ins plagued Rancho Cordova, a small town outside Sacramento. A man, masked, calculating, and quick, entered homes undetected. He stole small items, left others untouched. It was almost as if he were testing the waters. By 1976, the petty thief had escalated into something far more sinister. In East Sacramento, women began reporting rapes. The pattern was chilling. He would break in at night. He often studied his victims beforehand. Once inside, he tied up the male partner, stacked dishes on his back, and whispered,
"If I hear these plates move, I'll kill her."
The fear spread fast. He became known as the East Area Rapist. Over 50 rapes in 3 years. The community was gripped with terror. People bought dogs, weapons, floodlights, anything to feel safe. But nothing stopped him. Then he disappeared. But the nightmare wasn't over. In Southern California, another killer emerged. This one left bodies. Between 1979 and 1986, couples were found brutally murdered in their homes, often in similar fashion. It wasn't until years later that investigators realized the East Area Rapist and the man they called the original Night Stalker were the same person. By the early 2000s, the Golden State Killer, as he'd later be called, was suspected in at least 13 murders, over 50 rapes, and more than 100 burglaries. But he had vanished. The case went cold. Detectives retired, evidence sat in boxes, families mourned without closure. And the public forgot. But a few refused to give up. Among them was investigator Paul Holes. Obsessed with solving the mystery, Holes studied case files, retraced steps, and connected dots others had missed. He had an idea, something radical at the time. What if DNA from the crime scenes could be uploaded to a genealogy database? In 2018, a revolutionary technique called forensic genealogy changed everything. Investigators extracted DNA from one of the crime scenes. They uploaded it to GEDmatch, a public database used by amateur family historians. It wasn't a direct match, but it pointed to relatives. From there, genealogists built out a family tree. And at the very end of one branch was a name: Joseph James DeAngelo. A former police officer, a Navy veteran, a man who had once investigated break-ins himself. Investigators followed him. They retrieved a discarded tissue from his trash and ran it through the lab. The result? A perfect match. On April 24, 2018, authorities arrested the 72-year-old DeAngelo at his home in Citrus Heights. He was living a quiet suburban life. Married, grandfather, no one suspected a thing. In 2020, after 2 years of pretrial proceedings and a global pandemic, DeAngelo pleaded guilty to 13 counts of murder and admitted to numerous rapes and assaults. To spare victims from testifying, prosecutors offered life without parole. At the sentencing hearing, survivors and families of the victims confronted him. They spoke of pain, of stolen lives, of decades spent in fear, waiting for justice. DeAngelo, frail and expressionless, muttered only, "I'm truly sorry to everyone I've hurt." It wasn't enough, but it was something. After 40 years, the hunt was over. Justice, long delayed, had arrived. The Golden State Killer had a name, a face, and a sentence, and the victims, at long last, had a voice. This was the power of perseverance, the power of science, and the power of never giving up. Like and subscribe to our channel for more crime stories.